Coming up on Cronkite News, one team executive calls for Sarver's resignation following his suspension.
Plus, helping athletes understand the dangers of heat stroke and how they can stay safe through the intense Arizona temperatures.
And later, finally coming home to rest, we'll show you how DNA technology is now able to identify soldiers' remains from the Korean War, giving families closure.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Edison LaCour.
And I'm Nikki Pica. Thank you for joining us. The fallout continues for Suns owner Robert Sarver. Following a report released by the NBA Tuesday, Sarver was issued a year-long suspension and fined $10 million. Now, the National Basketball Players Association is calling for Sarver to be banned for life. Also, Suns minority owner John Najafi released an open letter via the Arizona Republic last night saying, quote, "Words and actions matter." Najafi, the Suns' second largest stakeholder, directly called for Sarver's resignation. Following the release of the letter, PayPal said in a statement they would not renew their sponsorship contract at the end of the season if Sarver is still involved with the team. Earlier this month, the West was hit with a record-setting heat wave, but that's not the only interesting temperature trend we've seen this summer. Sarah Blue is in the Weather Center with the details.
Well, we've had a pretty warm summer here in the West. We've had over 2,000 maximum temperature records broken in the month of August and September. Now, for comparison, in this 2-month period last year, we only had around 600 of these records broken. Now, a good part of these record breaks happened in the first few days of September. That's when we had that big heat wave come in and affect parts of California, Nevada, and all throughout the West. However, in Arizona, it wasn't quite as warm. We only had 11 maximum temperature records broken in August and September. That's because we've had a pretty active monsoon that's kept us cool. That's not to say, though, that we haven't had our fair share of days that are warm. We've had 22 days so far this year in Phoenix that are at or above 110. Our average is 21 days, though. So we're 1 day above average. That's part of a larger trend that we've seen in the past 30 years, where the number of days at or above 110 has been increasing since the 1970s. Now, with the start of fall, we may have some cooler days coming up in our forecast. I'll tell you all about it coming up.
Now, the heat trends have also made for dangerous conditions for local athletes. According to the Journal of Athletic Training, heat stroke is the leading cause of death in sports. Cronkite News reporter Jacob Flores has more on how athletes can protect themselves.
Being an athlete is taxing enough. Now add on the triple-digit dry heat of Arizona, and it can become deadly. Flores Wardenar, assistant professor of nutrition at ASU's College of Health Solutions, conducted a study to see if student athletes could gauge their hydration levels by the color of their urine. 35 athletes at ASU participated in the test using fake urine with relatively good results.
So in our lab, we measured the urine concentration and we compared their scoring with the actual concentration. And then we were able to calculate that roughly 75 to 80% of the athletes were able to score their urine concentration correctly.
According to the Maricopa County Department of Public Health, there are 40 more heat-related deaths at this point of the year compared to the same point last year. Max McKinnon, captain of the ASU men's tennis team, knows the importance of staying hydrated under the, at times, fatal Arizona sun.
I drink a lot of water. We drink a lot of liquid IVs and things of that nature. But yeah, those would probably be the two biggest things, as well as always eating while you're practicing as well. That's another big thing to keep energy going and stuff like that.
Athletes who need to wear equipment for their sport make staying cool an almost impossible task. But Danelle Wade, athletic trainer for Brophy College Prep, has a system in place to ensure the safety of her athletes.
They warm up without their pads on in their helmet, and then they'll put the helmet on, and they always come and check with us if pads are good, and then as long as we're under the threshold, then they can put the pads on. If we go above the threshold, then we're going to ask them to remove those pads or go to the grass.
The National Weather Service credits heat as the most frequent climate-related killer in the United States, but it's also 100% preventable, and that's why it's important to educate people on what to look out for.
Something that you can do as a lab test, but it's obviously not available to the people at home, to athletes that are normally practicing. But in the end, it's not about how well scientists can score a sample, but it is more about how well the actual public can do it.
And the biggest message to athletes, heat stroke can happen to anyone, no matter how fit you are. So pay attention to your body's warning signs. In Phoenix, Jacob Flores, Cronkite News.
Experts say exertional heat stroke is diagnosed by a body temperature of at least 104 degrees, with a feeling of concussion-like confusion. Using ice to cool the body is one remedy to bring down your body temperature back to normal. Former Bears Super Bowl winning quarterback and Scottsdale resident Jim McMahon credits cannabis for helping with his post-career injuries. Cronkite News reporter Caleb Wiley tells us McMahon, along with 2 other former NFL players, are releasing their own brand.
In Tempe, Arizona, Mint's dispensary patrons got a glimpse of former NFL players, Super Bowl champ Jim McMahon, Kyle Turley, and Eben Britton, who signed autographs and shared their experience with marijuana. The 3 were on hand to promote their brand, Revenant. Turley founded the company based on his own experience with weed.
The reason behind starting Revenant was, to have a brand in the cannabis space that could speak to this experience that I had, where cannabis truly saved my life.
Given the nature of the sport, severe injuries are common among current and former NFL players. McMahon says the league's solution over the years has been to distribute a dangerous amount of painkillers.
The problem is the opioids. These guys, they'll give you a handful of pills, whatever you want. And a lot of these things are very addictive. A lot of them have killed people. It's been proven. Cannabis hasn't killed anybody.
Rather than taking pills for pain relief, Britton advocates for a better solution, cannabis, which he says can help prevent physical damage to your brain.
I didn't make this up. This is our federal government who's seen this work firsthand. They've seen through studies that the cannabinoids, the chemical compounds found in the cannabis plant, can actually help protect the brain from damage before it occurs, and they can help heal the brain after damage has occurred.
The NFL is no longer suspending players who test positive for cannabis, but will be fined up to 3 weeks of pay. The Revenant team believes any punishment for cannabis use is a moral violation of the players.
Obviously, until they unrestrict cannabis use, period, they're wrong. They are clearly, completely in the wrong, and they know it. And I know this personally.
Turley had a meeting with the NFL and their doctors. He discussed his experience and the science that proves cannabis usefulness with its players. Their response to Turley: "You're right, but it is going to take time." Meanwhile, the 3 are looking to take Revenant to more locations across the country. In Tempe, Caleb Wiley, Cronkite News.
Right now, Revenant is only available in 2 states, Arizona and California.
The Coyotes had their first rookie camp this week as the new players prepare for a trip to San Jose this weekend for the 2022 Rookie Face-Off. Coaches will have a chance to evaluate the new talent, including their top draft picks. Rookie Colin Tyson, who just graduated from Arizona State in the spring, was also on hand. Tyson went to Tucson after the Sun Devil season ended to finish out the year with the Roadrunners. Now he'll get a chance to showcase his skills this weekend. Coach Andre Tourney says their process for who makes the roster is simple: who makes the adjustments the quickest.
I would like to see our young player to be whatever they are the first game, be better the next game, and who can see the growth and where we can go with them. That's will be what I will look. So boring answer, I know, but that's the truth. So
the Coyotes are playing the Las Vegas Golden Knights tonight in the first game of the rookie tournament. They take on the Anaheim Ducks and Colorado Avalanche later this week.
High school football is well underway, and one school in particular is ready to make some noise with the help of a top quarterback. Cronkite News reporter Ashley Engel has more on the culture change at North High School.
It's that time of the year again, where stands will be filled and the fans will be loud. But one North High School football player in particular is more ready than anyone else, already having many goals for the team.
Put this team on the map, go to the playoffs, maybe make some noise, we'll see.
The Mustangs are led by quarterback Luke Halgo. The sophomore already has offers from Power 5 schools, including Arizona and Oregon. Head coach Mark Mejia not only sees this as an opportunity for Halgo, but for the program as well.
Well, the more schools that come to take a look at him, they're not just coming to look at him. They're going to get to see the other kids and the other talent that we have. So that's always a huge benefit. You know, I'm excited for these kids for their opportunity because they deserve it.
North, along with other Phoenix Union schools, has not won a state championship since Trevor Brown took the title in 1981. North has not made the playoffs since 2008. Haugo believes in order to end the postseason drought, the culture of the team needed to change, and it has.
First steps, honestly, get everybody to practice. We gotta get this whole team as a unit practicing every day together.
With open enrollment, Haugo had many opportunities when choosing where to play. After interviewing and visiting many schools across the valley, he knew North was where he belonged.
We saw the different people and the potential and the fact that, you know, he just felt real comfortable with this place. He thought, you know what, let's give it a run.
He chose North not only for the athletics, but for their academics. The sophomore has not only been a leader on the field, but in the classroom as well.
You know, he's our leader quarterback. He's coming into school. He's doing great things. 4.0 GPA, maybe higher than that. But he's just doing all things that we've asked him to do.
The sophomore Mustang believes he can make a huge difference at North High School's football program, as he calls all of his teammates his family with one destiny.
Our school, we're a Phoenix Union school. Many people don't believe in us. People just think we just come to school to get over with school. We're trying to go further in life and go to college. Some of us have very bright futures and destinies. We just need the exposure.
With opportunities rising and the culture of the team changing for the better, the Mustangs season will portray the success they are working towards. In Phoenix, Ashley Engel, Cronkite News.
North is still looking for its first win of the season as they host Valley Vista tonight.
I'm Diana Quintero. Coming up after the break, I'll have your top news stories. With a nationwide blood shortage, one local teen started an effort to increase blood donations. His focus, the younger community. And see how the state will help Arizona drivers using electric vehicles.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Diana Quintero. Yesterday, we introduced you to the family of a soldier whose remains were finally identified after more than 70 years of searching. Cronkite News reporter Mackenzie Hamill tells us how a group of scientists brought him home despite decades worth of barriers.
As DNA technology advances, a lab in Hawaii is helping identify Korean War soldiers who died years ago. That is the case of Private Felix Yanez. It's meticulous work that requires combining multiple lines of evidence, but most importantly, patience.
It's the worst thing you can do to DNA, and it took us from 1999 to 2016 in science to catch up for us to develop a method to get the DNA and get results from them.
The Hawaii lab partners with the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System that is spearheading the new technology. Dr. Timothy McMahon said it was a difficult task, but they found a way to separate the DNA sample from any contaminants.
I want you to think of a jar that has 1 million jelly beans in it, and they're all different colors, but there's only maybe 50 white jelly beans in there. And if I told you to go in and grab all 50 of those in one shot, you wouldn't be able to do it. So what we did is we developed a method that would bind to the white jelly beans, and it had a metal piece on it. And then we use a magnet that pulls the white jelly beans up, so we enrich for the human DNA, and that allowed us to get the results to support the identification as well.
Fallen soldiers from the Korean War have been brought back from North and South Korea and excavated from the Punch Bowl Cemetery in Honolulu after identification was made possible. Dr. Key says that regardless of the time the remains arrived at the lab, they will continue working until the soldiers go home.
Has anything changed? Has anything new developed? Can we try something again? Can we try something, a little different? So even the remains that have been in the lab since the 90s, they are still active as far as the project is concerned.
When Shreve got the call about her uncle, she says she was overwhelmed and relieved because she never thought that she or her mom would get to see this day.
It was something that I really wasn't sure was ever going to happen in my lifetime. I started prepping my children and telling them, if this doesn't happen in my lifetime, you guys have to carry this torch.
The Hawaii lab is continuing to excavate caskets from Punch Bowl Cemetery until all soldiers' remains are recovered and identified. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Hamill, Cronkite News.
Did you know that in Arizona, you can start giving blood as young as 16 years old? Cronkite News reporter Ryan Tismaneski met one Arizona teenager who is raising awareness with a goal of increasing donations.
On June 14, 2005, the World Health Organization and the American Red Cross came together to host World Blood Donor Day. On that same day, Scottsdale teenager Pierce Listenfeldt was born, and that connection has led him to become an advocate for blood donation. Pierce Listenfeldt became a blood donor as soon as he was legally eligible at the age of 16. Now, a year later, he has his own organization called One Arm at a Time and works to encourage other teens to get out and donate. In August, his group hosted its first blood drive.
Donating blood should become somewhat of a rite of passage, like getting a car, a job, going to college, all that kind of stuff in a young adult's life.
In Arizona and about 44 other states, you can start donating blood as soon as you turn 16 years old, with parental consent. Listenfeldt scouts out locations for blood drives and partners with the Red Cross to get them done. The organization declared its first national blood crisis earlier this year after the number of people donating took a dive during the pandemic.
Blood is one of those things that's just can't be manufactured, can't be made in a lab or in a manufacturing plant. It has to come from someone else. So we're always in the need for blood.
The Red Cross is also promoting the fact that September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. People born with sickle cell have irregularly shaped blood cells, leading to complications that often require blood transfusions. The disease disproportionately affects African Americans, meaning it's vital for people of color to donate.
Super important for African Americans to come out and donate. The closer we can get to the recipient's blood type and antigens and everything that's in their blood, the better. 1 in every 13 African American donors will match a sickle cell recipient.
One Arm at a Time will hold its next blood drive on September 24th at Listenfeldt's school, Cicero Prep in Scottsdale.
We're trying to get as many different types of people with as many different types of blood so that we can help everyone.
And he's asking those who do give to post a selfie on social media to help encourage other young people to donate too. If you are interested in donating blood, check out One Arm at a Time or the Red Cross to see where you can donate. In the newsroom, Ryan Tismaneski, Cronkite News.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the Omicron COVID-19 strain is less deadly than other variants. That was the result from a study released yesterday by the CDC. Scientists reported the mortality risk was about 15% for the Delta variant, but dropped 13% in the early months of the Omicron wave. Between April and June of 2020, it fell to only 5%. Researchers suggest Omicron's lower mortality risk was due to high levels of immunity from vaccination, previous infection, and advances in treatments. Thursday officially marked the start to Hispanic Heritage Month. Celebrations began with music and cultural events in Phoenix. The Mexican consulate and Phoenix officials highlighted the importance of contributions by Hispanics. The Consul General of Mexico, Jorge Mendoza Yescas, opened the celebration with the traditional El Grito, which commemorates the independence of Mexico. Many community members attended to celebrate their culture. Some highlighted the importance of recognizing the achievements and contributions of Hispanic Americans who have inspired others to achieve success.
It's really important to celebrate Mexican Independence Day, not only here in the U.S., obviously from Mexico. There's a lot of people that live in the United States that haven't been back to Mexico, and it's important for them to remember their roots, remember their culture, and to see something like this that they may have not seen since they were young.
Hispanic Heritage Month runs from September 15th to October 15th, and it was enacted into law back in 1988. With more electric vehicles on Arizona roads, there's a greater need for charging stations for those cars. ADOT plans to implement a statewide network of EV charging stations, thanks to federal money from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Over the next 5 years, the state is expected to receive more than $70 million to establish accessible EV stations. ADOT's goal is to reduce range anxiety and encourage drivers to switch to electric vehicles. The high temps around the valley finally seem to be cooling down as we enter the fall season, and winds also seem to be taking off. Sarah Blue is in the Weather Center with the details.
Exactly. Well, we will be in those 90s around 7 p.m., but we're quickly dropping to the 80s at 10 p.m. We're going to continue to drop, though, until we see 77 in Phoenix overnight. We're going to be in those 50s and 60s along northern Arizona, along the western part of the state in those 70s overnight. Tomorrow for your high, we're along the Mogollon Rim, staying in those 80s. Payson and Prescott being in those 80s. Reaching for 100 along the western part of the state, though. Through southern Arizona, we're staying around 100. Tombstone and Douglas being in those low 90s. Now, we are in store for a gusty afternoon tomorrow. We're going to have some high winds along northern Arizona. Same with Sunday evening, when we have 93-mile-per-hour winds up in northern Arizona. Now, tomorrow, we do not have a chance of those storms. That's because we have this brown area of dry air that is moving through the state. And what that will do will simply just not allow us to have those monsoon storms. That will come back later this week, though. So 100 tomorrow in Phoenix. We're going to jump up to 102 on Monday, dipping back down into those 90s when we have a chance of rain returning on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Sarah Blue.
After the break, have you ever dreamt of your car becoming a toy? One event is helping make that dream come true. See the cars up for consideration when we come back.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
Know what I'm saying?
Try to steer the trouble.
Where's the fun in that? You know how ladies can be.
I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work. It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
The Hot Wheels Tour made a stop in Arizona with the intent of finding the next Hot Wheels legend. Over 100 people brought their own custom vehicles with the hopes of having their dreams become a reality. Cronkite News reporter Michael Garaffa went to Gilbert in search of a winner.
Growing up, plenty of people had a passion for playing with Hot Wheels. Some of those people, like Hunter Lindner, never let that passion go.
I always wanted to just build something that's just crazy and just stands out and never been done before.
I chopped a Corvette in half and put on a Dodge frame.
The Hot Wheels Legends Tour sees thousands of custom vehicles every year and selects a finalist from each of 12 locations. One lucky winner gets their custom vehicle made into a Hot Wheels toy.
It'd be so awesome. I'd be speechless if it was made into a toy. It'd be insane.
It would mean the world to me just to be able to like see it and have kids like, here's your mini version of Nebula. Like you can take it home and then one day you can build your own.
Kaylee Creighton, who built her own car, doesn't want people to be afraid to make their own custom creation.
It doesn't matter if people don't like it. It doesn't matter what other people think. Just build the car the way you want to and have fun.
While she doesn't believe her car will win, she aims to spread a positive message about drag racing.
Get people off the streets and down the drag strip. We can build these beautiful cars and be responsible and safe at the same time.
Some people go to spread a different kind of message.
Rainbow bright. I love rainbows, and the world is a beautiful place, and we should all be aware that after the rain comes rainbows.
Overall, the Hot Wheels Legends Tour provides an opportunity for everyone to relive the passion from their childhood.
Seeing how many cars had like see-through hoods, how many cars had like spiked wheels, all this cool stuff.
Fun to come out here, see the builds, talk to people, share my experience with everybody. So it's just fun to be out here at the end of the day.
In Gilbert, Michael Garaffa, Cronkite News.
There are 3 more Hot Wheels Tour events before the semifinals at the end of October. And hey, Nikki, maybe someone from Arizona will make it to the grand finale in mid-November.
We'll be sure to keep an eye out for that. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. VS.org.